All right, so story time. So, if you don't already know, my truck got broken into. My backpack got stolen out of my truck last night. All right, so I wake up this morning around 6 a.m. I'm like, all right, it's time to go to the gym. So I start getting all my stuff ready, get my pre-workout ready, and then I'm like, you know what? It's been cold. I probably should go start my truck so I can warm it up for a little bit. So that's what I did. I came outside, and then I opened my truck, and then I noticed the glove box was open. I noticed my center console was open. There was change all over the floor, and I said, oh man, I got. And then I quickly remembered that I forgot to take my backpack out of my truck last night. And I looked around for my backpack, nowhere to be found. And I realized they stole my backpack. Had my laptop, my AirPods, some Ray-Ban glasses in it, my passport, a few other things in it. So I said, I guess I gotta call the cops, man. So I call the cops, tell them, hey, my truck got broken into, whatever. So they send someone out. They get here about 30 minutes later. They start talking to me, ask me all the questions, all that standard stuff. And then they start fingerprinting or dusting for fingerprints or whatever. And then, I tell them, hey, just so you know, I had my AirPods in my backpack and I can actually track the location. It looks like they're in Las Cruces. And they're like, well, there's really not much we can do. It's in Las Cruces. It's in New Mexico. You can definitely call the police department out there, give them the case number that we give you, and see if they can help you with anything. And so that was basically it. They said that it was going to be a couple of days before investigation started looking into it, because it was a weekend and investigation doesn't work on weekends, and it takes like 3 to 5 days for them to start an investigation. And I was like, yo, I don't got that kind of time. So whatever, they left. And so after they left, I called the Las Cruces Police Department, told them, hey, my vehicle was broken into. They stole my stuff. I'm able to track my stuff to this location, this address in Las Cruces. Can you guys help? And they basically said, well, we'll give you a call here in about an hour or so. See if an officer can help you out. So the officer calls me. He says, hey, how's it going? How can I help you? And I told him, hey, stuff was stolen. I tracked it to this location, this address. Here's the address. And he basically said, all right, so I'll go ahead and go check it out for you, see if I can get any information. About an hour passes by. He calls me back and says, hey, I wasn't able to get a hold of anyone. No one answered the door. Looked like no one was home, whatever. So hung up with him and started figuring out what I could do. So I said, nah, you know what? I need my stuff back, or at least I need to find out who did this, right? Because as the day unfolded, I started to find out that they had broken into multiple vehicles in my neighborhood, stole credit cards, stole $1,000 for one of my other neighbors and stuff like that. So I said, it's time to head to Las Cruces. And so I headed to Las Cruces, and I'm on the road. It's about an hour away from my house. And so I'm, refreshing my AirPod movement, and I'm noticing that whoever has my AirPods is just like bouncing all over the place. They were at Walmart, they were at, Wendy's, they were at Walgreens, they were at a couple of other places. And so I was like, man, this person is all over the place, or like whatever. So I was like, I'm going to go to that area, see if I see anyone that, that looks like someone that could potentially have taken my AirPods. People had started posting pictures of the people that they saw on camera from the night before that were, like opening vehicles and stuff. But nah, I didn't see anything. And then, so I decided to like refresh the AirPod location, and sure thing, went back to the location that I initially saw them out at the address. And so I said, all right, it's time to start circling that block. And so I circled the block. I pulled up, looked at the house, said, that's the house that it's pinging at. Saw like 3 or 4 cars there. I saw a bike outside, blue Trek bike, right? Mountain bike. And so I drove up the street, parked, called the officer up and said, hey, sir, I understand you said you went earlier. You said no one was home. I just drove by. Ton of cars there. So, door was open as well. Do you think you can stop by again? And so he basically said, all right, give me a second, I'll meet you. So buddy met me up the street and was like, well, sir, I'm going to go over there, but if no one answers his door, there's nothing I can do, because, how do we know that they really do have your stuff? Aside from your AirPod location, which is good, but, we have to have a warrant in order to be able to go into the house and, search for your stuff. And so he went up to the house. I kind of watched him because I could see him. I wasn't too far away. He walked up to the house, and then, within a minute or so, they walked back to the vehicle, drove to me, said, hey, they didn't open up. Matter of fact, they closed the door as soon as they saw us pull up. So there's really nothing we can do for you. He said, keep tracking the location. If anything changes, let us know. So like part of me was like, all right, man, I just need to go home because it's not going to work out. But then, I was just so mad. I was so mad because they stole this stuff from me, from my neighbors and whatnot. So I was like, you know what? I got a hoodie on. I got some sweats on. I'm going to walk the block. I don't look like, I look like a normal dude, whatever. So I walked the block, walked in front of the house. I pulled up my phone. I was trying to connect my AirPods to see if I could get a connection on my AirPods to like solidify. Yeah, this is definitely location. And I guess I couldn't do it. I wasn't close enough to my AirPods. So I walked the whole block, nothing, man. So went back to my truck. And so when I got to my truck, I noticed that the location had kind of shifted a little bit on the AirPods. And so it was looking like the house behind the initial house was the one that had my AirPods. And so I started circling that area, and I kind of started just watching that house from a distance. And I didn't notice anything crazy. No one was coming in, going out. I don't know what I was trying to see. I don't know. I guess I was like, yeah, someone's going to walk out with my backpack and I'm going to be able to spot them right then and there. Definitely did not happen. So as I was sitting there, I was like, you know what? I'm going to just drive by real slow again. See if I can connect my AirPods to my phone. No, couldn't do it. But as luck may have it, there was a truck outside that was it was labeled for some company which had a phone number on it. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give this number a call. And so I called the number, no answer. I called them again, no answer. And then I finally received a text message from them, says, please text me. And so I started texting him. I said, hey, I knew the name because it was on the truck. I said, hey, can you please help me out? I'm tracking some of my stolen items, and it seems like they're coming from your house. Is there any possibility that you have some kids or something someone living with you that may have been in El Paso yesterday? And as soon as the guy saw that, he called me up and he's like, hey, no, me and my family were all in Juarez yesterday. We just got back from Juarez this morning, 9 a.m. So definitely not us. You're more than welcome to come in, search the house, whatever. And then, so I said, no, you know what? I don't want to search your house, but if you don't mind, can I go to your backyard and try to connect my AirPods to my phone? And he said, yeah, sure thing. He took me in, let me walk to the backyard, and he started telling me, yeah, the people that live back there, bad people, they're always doing drugs. You can always smell the drugs, and there's always things missing from my yard. That's why we have this big dog here, to make sure that they don't come over and stuff like that. So I was like, all right, cool, man. Thank you very much. But definitely couldn't get my AirPods connected. And so I left Buddy's house, and then I started, I pulled up my location on the AirPods, and I noticed they had moved. They were about a mile and a half away. So I was like, oh man, these AirPods, this guy's on the move. This guy dipped out while I was, doing my little like thing on the other block. He must have been like watching me or something. And so I started going to the location where the AirPods were pinging, and lo and behold, I pull up to this business. I can't remember which business it was. It's behind the Blakes or something like that. And there's a guy standing outside, real thuggish looking, face tattoos, dressed the part. But guess what he's on? The bicycle, the Trek bicycle that was in front of the house that I initially went to. And so Buddy's just standing out there on his bike. And so I'm looking at him and I'm like, that's the guy. That's the guy, because a police officer earlier told me that someone had identified the guy and said that he was a Hispanic male, had face tattoos, specifically a crown. And I could see him, and I'm like kind of trying not to stare at him, and I'm kind of like looking at him, and I'm just parked there. He's maybe like 20 feet away, and then he looks at me, and he's just like kind of stares a little bit, and then just proceeds to like ride off on his bike. And I'm like, hell nah, buddy, I got you. And so I started slowly following in, and I see him drive right up the street, and I'm like, I got this dude. I definitely got this dude. I'm like shaking and stuff, and I'm like, nah, I got this dude. What am I gonna do? Should I jump out the truck? Nah. And I was like, you know what? No. Call the cop that helped you out earlier, see if he can help you out. And so I call Buddy up, and I'm like, hey, bro, like, dude, I found this guy. Like, I'm tracking him right now. I'm right behind him. He's on a bicycle. And then the cop's like, there's no way you found him. And I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, I found him. I found the guy. He has my AirPods. I'm like following my AirPods right now, like the bike that was in front of the house. And he's like, oh yeah, I remember seeing that bike. I'm like, yeah, there's that bike that was in front of the house. He's on that bike right now, and I'm following him. And he's like, where are you at? Like, tell me exactly where you're at. I'm gonna come to you. And so like within minutes, I start hearing sirens and stuff, and the dude's like, don't hang up on me, all right? Stay on the phone until I get there. And so Buddy pulls up behind a restaurant. The criminal pulls up behind, not a restaurant, behind some business, and just parks the bike there, and then just starts kind of like hanging out. I think he was like peeing back there or something. And so cop shows up, and he's like, where's he at? And I'm like, yo, he's back there. The bike is right there. Like, go get him. And then dude gets on the bike and like kind of starts riding off. And he's like, oh man, I'm gonna have to go around. So I just see him like haul ass all the way around. And then he's on the phone still. And then I hear the sirens like just going crazy and stuff. And then I just start hearing this cop yelling at this dude, hey, stop, put your hands up. Like, hey, don't go anywhere. And he's like, I'm telling you to stop. And then all of a sudden you just hear, I can hear the dude like running after this guy, like breathing heavy. And then he's like, oh, I gotta jump over this wall. And then I hear him like kind of like fall or something. And then all of a sudden I see like this dude running in front of my truck. And then like a couple seconds later, this cop is like running after him. And then this dude like is trying to like run this way. And then he's like, no, I can't go that way because another cop has showed up. And so he ran the other way. And then he's trying to juke that cop out. And the cop is just like on the phone with me, like, I can hear him like breathing all heavy and like, stop, get on the floor. And so finally this dude like, I guess he like tripped. So he falls to the ground and the cops like immediately jump on top of him. And they're like, we got him. And I'm like, yes, I got him. I freaking got him. I'm like, I got him. So they got this dude on the floor. I hang up the phone and I'm just there kind of like chilling, hanging out, waiting for a couple seconds, couple minutes to see what happens. And, finally they get him, they put him in the car, and then they come up to my truck and they're like, hey man, got him. There's AirPods there. Let's see if we can connect to them. Let's see if you can ping them so that way we can make sure that they're yours. So I go over there, start pinging, boom. My AirPods are just pinging like crazy, like most beautiful sound I've ever heard in my entire life. I'm like, yup, those are definitely my AirPods. And so I got my AirPods. They're like, all right, let me just take a picture of them. You can take your AirPods. But bad thing is he didn't have the case. So now my AirPods are like useless. And then on top of that, he didn't have my backpack, so he didn't have my laptop on him. But he did have a checkbook that I had in my backpack, so I definitely know he had my backpack somewhere. And so I told the cops, hey, that's my checkbook. And on top of that, he had all these cards, like 10 different credit cards from 10 different people. And he had it like, they had them all spread across. And they're like, yeah, this dude is like a repeat offender. This is what he does. And so I'm like, yeah, you know what? Like, I really don't care about my AirPods. I just want my laptop back. And they're like, well, we'll do whatever we can. We're going to have to get a search warrant. We're going to have to work with El Paso Police Department to get all the, the statements that they gave over in your neighborhood and stuff like that. So, I'm probably not going to ever see my laptop again, which sucks. But I'm definitely glad that I found this clown. And I really, really hopes that he has to do some hard time. Because it's just, it's horrible. I don't know, man. It was just an absolutely wild day. Like, I didn't wake up this morning thinking I was going to be like hunting criminals and stuff. Like, it's wild. But man, it just felt good to catch that guy.